Okay, so we are recording now and just going live to Facebook. So Natasha, over to you.
Oh, thank you.
Well, actually, just
wait till we're on live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as soon as it sees live. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting times, right?
Oh, yeah.
Very interesting times. Before we go on, obviously we can chatter, but goodness me, the energy is deep, dark, heavy at the moment. I have never felt so exhausted in all of my life. I was in bed last night at 5:30 in the evening. I did actually get up about 9 to eat and then went back to bed again, had a salad. And also I love walking every day, and I actually have been feeling anxious walking. Oh, we're live now. So yeah, it's really strange, and I think we're feeling it as a collective. I was reading one of Jen McCarthy's posts, and she was also saying about it's been crazy, we're having lots of cyber attacks, and then we need to just be here for our soul brothers and sisters. And I completely agree with that, because it's not just me who's feeling it, it's not just, you know, in the part of the world that I live, it's all over the world. And I think it's really important that we recognize that, we share that, so we don't think we're suffering on our own, and we reach out to one another and look at ways that we can help and support each other. Actually, one of my greatest mentors was saying yesterday, well, have you had some ginseng? When did you last have some ginseng? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've forgotten about my ginseng. So I had a pot of ginseng tea last night, which is the lovely sort of like, it looks like tar. And I've just had another pot now, and I'm like, right, that's good. I've had all of my ashwagandha, scaletium, kelp, iodine, zinc, vitamins. Yeah, so it's all good. Anyway, Facebook, we hope you are live now, and welcome to our round table with the divine feminine goddesses from all over the world. And this evening we are speaking about education. And the reason our topic for this evening is about education is because we've all been through the education system, and many of us are mothers, and we've seen that maybe the education system didn't serve us when we were growing up, and isn't serving our young people, particularly as the youngsters that are coming out these days have been born over the last probably 10 to 15, maybe even as probably 18 years, are coming in with different DNA. They're coming in knowing more of who they are right from the start, and the sort of matrix structures and controlling structures of the education system are really not sustaining our children. They're really not supporting our children, and they're not empowering our children. And one of the things that we wanted to look at today, apart from what does the education system look like, is it serving, how can we change it, but also to share practical techniques and tools and tips. And we've got a lot of experience here with parents that have homeschooled their children, and also parents who have worked in the education system for many years, and also people who've recognized, like myself being one of them, and also Soma being another, that this is not really the best way to educate our children. We want to empower them, we don't want to keep them small. So Soma has very kindly hosted this page and had this beautiful idea to bring this to the fore, so that we can share with you all. So thank you so much for joining us, and please feel free to share this video with anybody it might resonate with. Feel free to comment so we can see where you're at, anything that we can help you with, guide you with, maybe people that we could connect you with. And this is a global exercise, if you like, and so we're really happy to be able to bring this to you. And thank you to all of my lovely beautiful ladies here, Anita and Hilary and Soma, and myself. We were hoping to have some other ladies from Canada, America as well joining us. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to. Maybe there's a time difference. But yeah, so I think I'd like to just maybe go around the table, and if we all just spend a couple of minutes, a few minutes, just maybe introducing ourselves and why education is really important for us. We know what our beliefs are around that, or what our thoughts are around that, and why we feel it would be important to do so. So I'll kick off, and my name's Natasha Aylott. My business is Get Blissed. mainly I work with busy professionals, entrepreneurs, and you know, CEOs of companies. But at the same time, I've done work with children, for two children's charities as a mentor and running workshops within schools. And I see lots of gaps within the support system for our young people. I think it's a time that that was addressed, as well as, you know, praising them for what they're doing well rather than punishing them for what they're doing wrong. So I would be very open to looking at a different way to educate our families and our children, and maybe even ourselves. So I'm going to pass it over to and open up to whoever would like to share next.
Thank you, Natasha. I just wanted to say, just really quickly, that I'm a channel for the Pleiadians, and I didn't actually have any secondary education because they kept me out of it. So when I tried 3 or 4 times when my mum was getting hassle from the authorities that I should be in school, I was really worried about her. So I tried to go, and 3 or 4 times, and one time they actually put a wall of energy up in front of me, the Pleiadians, so that stopped me from going into the school system. And I was stood there for about half an hour, 40 minutes, and anyone looking at me would have thought it was very strange, because I was just stood there and I just couldn't go in, and I don't know, I was just having this conversation with them, and I'd forgotten that for many years. And but their actual words were, we stopped you from being in the school system because otherwise you would have been lost to us. And I always, and I'd have forgotten that for years. I just remembered being stood there and not being able to enter. And then during the shamanic courses, I remembered I began to have those lost memories where I wasn't, where they had stopped me from going in. So, and they said to me word for word that we stopped you from entering because otherwise you would have been lost to us. So I never had a secondary education, and for many years I felt very guilty about that, and huge sense of guilt with it. But then I realized that I wouldn't have been able to continue channeling the Pleiadians had I gone into the secondary school system. So it's actually turned out of a huge benefit to me that I wasn't in the school system, which is why I don't like using the word so against the school systems, because I'm not against educating children, but I just really believe that we need to be educating them about other things that really matter, and the truth of who we are and where we came from, and our true history and our true science and true astrology and all of other things. So yeah, so I just wanted to say that.
Wow, that is hugely powerful. I completely love that. Thank you so much for sharing it. That's really amazing. That's sort of like gone from a moment of having your blinkers on like that to just taking them off and seeing that there's just so much more out there. Thank you. That's absolutely beautiful.
Should I begin? Yes. I'm mother of 2 beautiful children. They were born with a tendency to autism, I think it's called in English. And this affected they loved going in school. They're very bright. It was a little school in our town, and it was wonderful. Then the school had to shut down, and it was merged with a bigger school. That's when things broke up. They couldn't cope with being in school. They came home and had stomach aches, they had headaches, crying in the morning, please let me stay home. So I did. We stopped, and it started as we would be doing homeschooling, which quickly turned to a sort of unschooling. Because after, what was it, 3, 4, 5 years in school, they were sick of learning. As I said, my oldest boy is very high intelligence in the normal system, and he was frustrated. because he couldn't go on. He couldn't talk about the things that he had found, some Chinese ways to do mathematic, and you know, it wasn't accepted. So they were frustrated all the time. After they had relaxed, after they had got the school system out of their body, they started doing things they liked. We started playing. And it went on like this. They were having fun, they were learning, doing very different things. And for example, my daughter likes Korean pop music, so she tried to learn Korean. And that's how the unschooling was working. And it was just wonderful. So that's where I'm at with schooling anyway.
I have a question for you, Anita. Whereabouts are you in the world?
Right now, Italy.
Italy, okay.
Yes.
And also, can I just ask, were your children vaccinated?
They got the, what's it called, the ordinary, the vaccinations. There was not much choice in Denmark. They have also been removed from us because we were doing homeschooling. So they are sitting in Denmark. The government's taken them. So that's how that is at the moment. So, yeah.
And how old are they now?
They are 15 and 17, sort of. Yeah.
Well, that's terrible. So the authorities took the children off you because you were homeschooling?
It's legal to homeschool in Denmark, so they couldn't use that as a reason. So they made reasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's horrific.
It really is.
Very hard.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
We're going to be looking at ways we can support Anita later after this summer. So, you know, maybe we could get our heads together after we finish this live and see if we can reach out to people who may be able to support and help. And I'll fill you in after.
Okay, thank you. I'm so sorry, Anita. Yeah.
They are brilliant kids. They have so much connection to the world. I know there's a meaning with this, but it is so hard every single day. But apart from that, the education has also helped them survive it. So I'm so happy that we had that time where they were allowed to grow and they got out of autism. They didn't have it. My son, who had been had a very hard time talking to people, he was the one that could stand up and say, hey, listen. They didn't listen, but he could do it because he had found himself. He'd found where that his, the things that were holding him back were actually the strongness in him. So he could use it to something good when he got in touch with it instead of being frightened of it. And I think that's the whole trick of teaching children to use their strengths and to also not be frightened for their weaknesses, but use it and be happy.
Yeah, I'm slightly autistic as well. So, yeah, but I have a very different view on autism. I think it's something that is, I think we use a different part of the brain. I think we're tapped into
Exactly.
a very spiritual awareness, and we're just using a different part of the brain. So I actually see it as something that's very positive. And I know quite a few spiritual teachers, some that are very high up, that are very well known, that are have autism to some degree. So yeah,
totally agree with you there. It is a strength. It is a very empowering thing because you don't see things in the normal way.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
And I also think it's to do with the wave of ascension, because you've got the indigos, you've got rainbows, you've got crystal children, you've got autism children, you've got ADHD, I think it is, and you've got all these labels. And I think actually they're all have a higher sense of awareness, a higher, a different, they're using different parts of the brain, so they have a different mentality, they're coming from different places. But I think they're all spiritual.
Yes. Totally agree.
That's wonderful to hear that. Shall I continue, or?
Please.
Okay, my name's Hilary. I'm in the UK, and I seem to have spent most of my life in education, in different roles, having been very badly affected by education, 13 years in education, from 50s to 65. I went into teaching to put things right. Literally at 18 years old, I made that decision that I knew that I could share with people what I knew at that age. I did it through the Girl Guide Association, which was what I was part of at that time. And I wanted to go into teaching teenagers and share with teenagers a different way of learning. So I trained as a teacher and went into secondary education, taught for 22 years. Got myself into all sorts of trouble because initially I had different ways. And this, do you know, it is so refreshing to hear you talk about autism, because I have always felt that the scale, the autistic scale, which is just goes on and on and on and on forever. Every single person who is alive, every single human being is alive, is somewhere on that scale. And I at the other end of the scale, I now see my husband, who has dementia, is exhibiting many, many autistic traits. And it just seems that those traits, they don't seem negative in any way. They're just gifts that pop up here and there, different ways of seeing things, different ways of using your brain to experience what's there. And I think it's the most wonderful, wonderful part of sharing life with other people, to meet people who are labelled autistic. And part of my work, even though I was a scientist and teaching biology, which I absolutely love, I worked with special needs children. My specialism was working with special needs children and integrating them into education, into science, so they could join what I always felt was play, because that's how I taught. I taught science through play and discovery and experience. And I loved it. I really enjoyed it. So they taught me, the children taught me more than I ever taught them. And just being with them, just listening to them explore and discover. It was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. Sadly, I was taken out of education by a serious car accident, which, well, I wasn't taken out of education at all. It was somebody pressing the pause button on my life and getting me to look at things differently. And education is still what I'm fascinated by, as I see my grandchildren now go into a system which is not fitting them at all. And they too have got some problems, one particularly, or more than one have got problems, on whatever scale the education authorities choose to measure. Yet they are beautiful children, just not, their needs are not being met. And strangely, a 15-year-old that I know a few weeks ago was saying, as he was reading some of the stuff that I've write, you write things, don't you? And he was leaning over my shoulder reading things. And he said, "Why don't they teach us that in school?" I looked at him and said, "Well, perhaps they should be, you know, perhaps that should be part of it. It says, it fits in as far as I'm concerned. It's about life. And I thought, you've got it, lad. You've absolutely got it, you know? So, yeah, I'm just passionate about giving kids the opportunity in whoever they are, you know, however bright they are, whatever perception people have about intelligence and brightness and any aspect of childhood education, just giving them the opportunity to be themselves and thrive and grow. That's my passion. It will be with me until forever, absolutely forever. So that's where I come.
That's so beautiful. Thank you, Hilary. That is so beautiful. And I love the way you say play and use the word passionate about, you know, teaching kids, and that they have taught you more than you have taught them. You see, these are the qualities that I recognize in real teachers, you know, who are there to serve the children, there to pay attention to the children, there to have discussions and debates and looking at different ways of doing things, and talking about the mathematical thing that Anita mentioned. This is the Chinese way, I think it was. This is what my son discovered years ago. And he's like, Mum, this is fantastic. And I'm like, I've never seen that. How do you do it? Because I loved maths, and my son is autistic, is high functioning, and is a similar age to yours, Anita. You know, and he's mathematically based. He loves physics. He loves problem solving, and yet his challenges are the restrictions and the structures. He had a terrible time in first school, terrible time, and the first school was run by what can only describe as a prison warden. The approach of the head teacher in the first school was like a prison warden, and my son was called naughty, and I was called into school probably 4 times when he was in first school, and because he was naughty. Now, I didn't know because he wasn't diagnosed at that point. So unfortunately, and it's my biggest regret, that I believed what the school was saying, and I did not believe my son. So I was believing them over him, and that is my biggest regret. The beautiful thing was when he went into middle school, the head teacher from the middle school, oh my gosh, he was and is an incredible, inspiring, amazing man. And ironically, well, no, not unsurprisingly, all of the teachers also in middle school whom my son encountered, and my daughter, were used to joke and laugh with him about certain things, and I didn't even know he had a sense of humor, you know. And so my son grew, and he flourished, and he thrived, and the head teacher went out of his way to introduce my son to rugby, because he used to play rugby himself, and got him on the team, and he's a big strapping lad. He got him into chess. He used to say, come into my office and play chess, and he used to be a county champion, so he was thrashing my son at chess. And I said to him one time, how's the chess going? He said, oh, you know. I said, has he won yet? He went, no. I said, don't take any prisoners, because this is how he'll learn. And then I said to my son, make sure, darling, before you leave that school and go on to your high school, make sure you thrash your head teacher at chess, make it your goal. And a few months before he left, he did exactly that. He beat him fairly and squarely. And I know that the head teacher had taken no prisoners, had taken time with him, but really encouraged him and empowered him and inspired him. So you see, just from the first school to the second school, a huge contrast in the learning. And it wasn't the education system that made the difference. It was the people, it was the teachers, it was the human beings who understood children and got what it took to, you know, make their experience happy and encourage them to develop their super talents, as I call them, and their superpowers, because I think autistic children have superpowers, you know, because like you both said, you know, it's a different part of the brain. And my son never ever goes into an exam with a calculator. He does it all in his head, and he gets it right, and he gets good grades. And I'm like, yes, this is what your brain is for, to do these complicated calculations. You know, he designed a trebuchet one summer holiday about 6 years ago, and I mean, we went once to Warwick Castle, which is a big castle quite close to us. It's really, you know, really together, and there's lots of things you can see, lots of rooms you can see, so it's a really good one. We saw a trebuchet there, and that was like a very long time ago, and he was tiny. He must have remembered that, and literally finding bits of wood in the garage, in the garden, in the wood store, and he made a trebuchet in 2 days, completely from scratch. And he used to test it out and test it out and test it out. And I just love that. You know, this is what education is meant to be. So when, you know, I speak with parents who homeschool their children and, you know, watch them thrive, it fills me with joy. So Anita, I'd like to ask you a question. What advantages and what developments and what positive things came out of educating your children at home? How did you see them grow? How did you see them expand? You know, how did they shine as a result of the education that you and your husband gave them at home?
Yes, that's a complete difference from where they were. They were going ahead at their own speed. Sometimes it was very little that we did. We were just there because we taught them to learn how they could get the answers, how they could go further with what they wanted to know. And once they got that, there was no limit. So they just raced ahead. With their own things around them, there's been that gradual acceptance of they have never heard until these things happened with Denmark that they had an autistic label. We've never talked about it. We've never done anything about it. They didn't know, and they thrived. It came quite as a shock when they heard that would be a diagnosis. And that's why, especially why I didn't do it, because I don't like diagnoses. But they have grown so much that when they're doing things at their own speed, when they're learning to listen to their body, that could be with food. Do I want that thing, or is it because I actually need it? And that listening to your body is very easily forgotten. The usual thing, if you get a sore, or if it hurts on my elbow. Why? What's happening there? Then we could talk about what it means, like what your elbow does, and then refer that to what's happening with them. So they got an understanding of, could be able to see what was happening with their body, if they were tired, if they were worried, where it was in their body. Things like that, I think, are so important, that we're not reliant upon going to a doctor to find out what's wrong with us, that we can listen and hear. So that's some of the biggest things for me, that they could be themselves, that they could grow at their own speed, and that they knew themselves and know themselves now. So that's, yeah, wonderful.
What an extraordinary, beautiful, empowering gift that will be with them forever you gave them.
Thank you.
Absolutely amazing, Anita.
Thank you.
Wow.
I think also the whole part about being together, it has its ups and downs, being together pretty much 24 hours a day. But it gets to be that you with those days that you're together, it's like a little world, that someone maybe has a problem, someone's maybe irritated, someone's crying, and you get to see, hey, how can I fit in with these things? How can I help with those things? So it's also that really, and also a safety for both of them, that they knew that my brother will react like this, my sister will react like this, mum will do this, dad will do that. So they had that safety to grow. So, there's just like the list is endless. Basically, it's just, yeah. I would advise it to anyone. But one thing I say that it can be very difficult is because they will come back and say no. And for people that aren't used to hearing no, you're wrong, that's a hard thing. That's one of the things I've heard the most about homeschooling, that parents have to see that they're not the big people here because we're all standing equal.
Mm.
So that, I think it's a great thing. I see them as my height, however high they are. Now my boy is so high that I have to look up like this. But whatever height they are, we look in each other's eyes. You've got things, I've got things. Let's share. We can all do that.
I think what we've really lost our way with a lot of things, but especially with education. And I think we need to take our kids back and absolutely homeschool them and home educate them. And I think that's a really important part of family life. And also with elderly people, I mean, especially in the UK, the way we treat our elderly people here is horrendous. We just put them into old people's homes and care homes, and that's it's just so wrong as far as I'm concerned.
And think about how much wisdom that they could share with the little kids. The elderly people and the young kids, they have so much they could give each other. Why put kids locked away in schools and elderly people locked away in homes? Lock up all those doors, let us out and come and play with each other. Share.
Well, I think now it's crucial that we take our power back and take our elderly people back into our homes and keep our kids in our homes and just homeschool them, and have maybe smaller communities where we grow our own fruits and vegetables and herbs, and have smaller communities but local. I feel that everything should be local,
Yes. Yeah.
I really
100%.
Soma. I'm 73, and so many people of my generation are in their homes, behind closed doors, away from their grandchildren, away from society. The community I'm in is not particularly friendly, sociable, labelled in so many ways that is cruel. It is cruel. And I think this lockdown business has brought to my attention just the incredible need for reforming society, reforming small communities, small groups.
Yes. Yep.
Where all the wisdom, the collective wisdom, it goes so far beyond what's up here. Collective wisdom can just be shared through the generations, and the result will be so much more respect of all generations, intergenerational, and that respect, it's a funny word, but that acknowledgement, that knowing what each person can bring to that experience or that moment. And I think it's whatever happens over the next 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 5 years, so on, until we get back, and I felt this for a long time, until we get back to small communities, ways of thinking.
Yes.
I do not believe the human race is going to continue. And that's as it is at the moment. I think it will just lessen and lessen and lessen until we get to numbers where we can actually have small communities. I don't know what'll happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen, but I have that feeling in me that until we get back to that real sense of community, we are not going to survive.
I think we're on the brink of it now. I think we're I think we're in mid-step of it, on the brink of it.
Yeah. You can see also with the, oh, sorry, yes.
I was just going to say, I love the word community. It's so all-encompassing. It's inclusive. It's supportive. It's beautiful. And actually, just quickly, Anita, and then obviously I know you wanted to share. But two things came up when I was listening to you speaking then, Hilary. And that was that way back, like thousands and thousands of years ago, we actually lived in communities. We lived in small communities where there may have been 80 to 100 people. And I've seen evidence of this on videos and documentaries where they've done the archaeology around this. So each sort of family, if you like, nuclear family, had a small house, but almost in a big circle. And then within the area in the middle, there were other buildings, much bigger buildings. And from the bones and the DNA that they've collected, the archaeologists have collected, and I totally love this, it appeared that the moms, the dads, the kids slept in their little house, but that for the rest of the time, they would go and spend time with their relatives, spend time with their grandparents, spend time with their aunts and uncles, spend time with their friends, some time with other adults. So they were getting the wisdom from all of these other grown-ups, these children were. And then they had collective places where they would eat together. They would work together. They would do things together. The animals would live amongst them as well. So it was, nobody was left out. Everybody was together, appreciating each other, helping each other. So if the parents, for example, if we did it today, if the parents had to go out to work, the children would be with their grandparents or their aunts and uncles. They would be together with their friends. They would be part of creating things and learning things, the construction of things, and growing things and creating things, because we are natural born creators. So that was one thing that I wanted to share. There were other things around that were significant, but in terms of like the community and doing things together, and the education of everybody was with everybody. So everybody was, as you said, the same height, everybody was valued, everybody was equal. And the second thing that had come up when Hilary was sharing was that actually before the Declaration of American Independence, the chiefs of the indigenous Indians, American Indians, the chiefs, the men, the strong leaders, they sought counsel in the grandmothers. So they were wise enough, these men, these beautiful chiefs, these incredibly powerful men, were wise enough and didn't let their ego get the better of them to know that any decisions that he had to make for the greater good of his whole tribe, he would seek counsel in the grandmothers. Why? Because they had the knowledge, they had the nurturing approach, and that he knew that by seeking their counsel and sharing in their collective wisdom, that he could then go on to make the right decision for the betterment of everybody in his tribe, not just what served him well. And so he knew, the man knew, the men knew, they were warriors, they were strong leaders, they were chiefs. And sadly, the white man, for want of a better expression, came in, and when the Declaration of American Independence came in, that was taken out. And it was all about, it wasn't Mother Earth and Father Sky, it was taken out, and it was all about men. So I'm like, well, isn't that interesting? So their ego must have been so threatened way back when in order to take the female role out. And then it was my great auntie Dolly, who was one of the suffragettes. So she was chained to the railings of Emily Pankhurst. And, you know, people like her had to pave the way again for women to come through. And so isn't it interesting that we see in history, you know, it isn't written in stone. And like Soma was saying, you know, we want to teach the children the real history, actually what really it is all about. Because there are patterns that come up. You know, it's like when you see if you have very, very strict parents, you might become a lenient parent yourself. And if you had very, very lenient parents, you might have be strict parents yourself. So, you know, it's really interesting. So, Anita, I'm going to hand over to you now, and apologies for cutting you. I wanted to just share that before I forgot, and because I felt that was really quite relevant of honouring wisdom in years, you know, and it doesn't always necessarily follow that with the years comes a wisdom, but by and large, there were so much experience, and therefore wisdom comes out of that. So, please, over to you.
Thank you for that. It's really, yeah. We've got so many good examples to follow and to learn from. One of the things that worries me so much, well, concerns me at the moment is, again, like we talked about before, all these boxes, all these categories. And even though we can talk freely about that everyone's different and everyone's got their own good qualities, when it comes to the crunch, well, when you're in 4th class, you have to do 4th class things. That's it. When you get out of school, well, you've got some expectations to do things like this. And I think that's the thing that we really need to see. What are we going to do from here? How are we going to use each other? We've got kids that are, I could say, geniuses on every level available. Sometimes they haven't even got the language to express what they know, but they have got it. And we need to get back to be able to listen to each other without categories. I hope. I see that we can live in groups. I see that we can mix together. I can see we can, in best hippie style, have our flowers and have our green hills, and we can dance and sing together. But I see that we can exist, and that we can have all our technology as much as we need, and we can have our buildings, and we can have whatever, but we can exist in happiness and in peace without restrictions. So that's, yeah, what I'm aiming for.
Can I just add to that just quickly, and then please do carry on. I think that we are very advanced with technology, and I do know that the technology that we're shown, we're more advanced by 200, 300, 400, 500 years of what we're being shown. But we're in the midst of a huge spiritual awakening, and so because at the moment we're technologically advanced, but spiritually we're not. The majority of us are not. So that is changing now. So when that's in balance, that's really when we can, I believe, when we can go back to our original blueprint. And like Natasha was saying, community and living in small communities, and the family unit is the community of humans. And we've been so infiltrated by negative agendas and the cabal, or whatever you want to call them, and they've really installed all the systems in place in order to control us and keep us dumbed down, including the school system. Because if you get kids at a young age, you can manipulate them more easily and control them and dumb them down and misinform them and miseducate them and misalign them to themselves, so that they believe that they are separate from God, from source. So I think it's just, I think it's a beautiful time that we're in on Earth at the moment, but it's also horrendous as well, because for a lot of people it's horrendous because they're not seeing that actually this is a huge birthing process and it's huge opportunity for growth of humanity. And we were never designed to live in big cities, in huge tower blocks. We're never designed to live like that. We're designed to and need to and long for small communities, rural communities with nature, just to be with our families and nature. And that is where the education is, or should be, I believe. So I just wanted to add that. Sorry, Anita, go on.
No, it was fine. But don't you think that's also the things they've been picking on right now, that they're aiming at getting with this virus, or so-called virus, separating people, keeping them alone, not going to school, not going to visit your grandparents, not touching each other. It's been so extreme, but I think in some ways so funny to see the attempts they've made to separate us. They will try.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because one of the things during lockdown at the beginning was the children obviously weren't going to school, and listening to you talk, Soma, actually, I was thinking, oh my gosh, yeah, they are going younger and younger. And Anita, you and I have had conversations about this before as well, about children, going younger and younger to school. And when my children were born, I was running an optical wholesale company. I had staff. And so I'm feeling terrible waves of guilt at the moment. I will let them go later on tonight, but they're coming up on a deeper level for me now. That I was like, well, how quickly can I get them into school, and how quickly can I get them into nursery, and I was sending my little boy, who was 2 years old, into a nursery from 8 o'clock till 6 o'clock on 3 days a week. Now I'm like, what was I thinking? Seriously, what was I thinking? He is a beautiful, sensitive soul. He's gorgeous. He's amazing. He's got super talents. What was I thinking? And then when my daughter was born, I had I actually had 2 senior members of staff leave. One the day my daughter was born, and then when she left, another one resigned. And so I had to send my daughter at 6 weeks old into a childminder. Now, the childminder was a lovely lady who had children of her own, and that was obviously the best place for her to be, apart from, not to go to the nursery. But 6 weeks, what, seriously? And yet, because I had been in this working environment and been on this treadmill and being completely caught up in the conditioning in the program myself, I could not see then how damaging that was going to be to my children. And, this separation, it was tragic, because I used to leave the office at lunchtime, drive to the childminder's house, and I used to pump my own milk. Now, I question myself about this, and then go back to the office, and I question myself. I'm like, the other day, in fact, this came up for me, and I'm like, why did you not just feed your daughter? Why did you express your milk? Seriously, why didn't you just feed your daughter, connect with her and love her? You held her, but then you went and expressed your milk. Why didn't you just nurture her and be with her? Or why did you even do it at all? So, I can understand the real challenges for, intelligent women, hardworking women who are completely torn with what to do. And so now, during the lockdown, fast forwarding back to right now, I have absolutely loved having my children around me. And seeing my son oh, Mum, I'm going to do this. I'm going to help my nana with, my grandmother with this. She's asked me to come and build a fence with her. And I'm like, great. She's asked me to move some work done. She's asked me to lift the patio slabs up for her and help me lay this one. And I'm like, that's great. I'm going to walk the dog, or I'm going to go for a long walk, 2 hours in the countryside. And I'm like, yes, this is wonderful. And then with my daughter, I'm going to do some baking. I'm going to do some cooking. I'm going to start teaching myself how to play this music, the piano on this song. I'm going to do some painting. Absolutely fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. So, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to go stir crazy. But I didn't appreciate how much I would totally value having them around. And I have absolutely loved them to be there. And actually, what I didn't want to happen was for them to ever go back to education again. And my son still hasn't gone back, because he was the one who didn't do his GCSEs. Now, he's quite happy with that, of course, because he's got plenty of other things to do with his time. But my daughter, she really wanted to go back to school because she missed the structure. She's very disciplined. She's very organized. So she missed her friends. She missed the structure. So we've tried to do anything. I said, we've got a big garden, invite people over. You can be, you can sit miles apart and you can still have time together. You can be around the dining table, play cards or play games or whatever. It's a huge dining table. There's plenty of room. Have your friends around. Go for walks with them. Do something with them. But she really wanted to go back to school, so she's gone. The first 2 weeks she did 1 day a week. The first week, 1 day a week. The second week, third week she did 3 days, and this week she's doing 5 days. But then we're going to go into summer holidays. So again, there'll be 6 weeks of, having them around. And they're much older now. They're 15 and 16. But what I've noticed is how wonderful, and I never homeschooled them because I had a company, and I didn't even think that it would be, I didn't even think about it. And logistically probably wasn't possible at that point. But just watching them and observing them. And as you said, Anita, when you homeschooled your children, actually you and your husband didn't have to do very much. You were really just holding space for them, and you simply taught them how to learn, and then you sat back and let them get on with it. And that part of what you described, which was really beautiful and speaks volumes, and I hope everybody takes notes on this one. I also have really appreciated from my children. Really lovely.
Thank you. Yeah. But I hope also that we can also keep some sort of school system, because like you said, that there are a lot that they need those guidelines. They need those what's it called? What was it you called it? Structure, yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. For your daughter to grow, she has to have that, and that she can see that.
Yeah.
And then say, this is what I need. How great is that? Win-win.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we've just had another lovely guest come on. Soma, is Paula with us? Is she come on board?
I'm here. I'm sorry I'm late.
Paula, blessings. Greetings to you. Lovely to see you. Love to Canada.
Nice to see you too. Love to you as well. Hello, Anita. Very nice to meet you, and Hilary. Very nice to meet you. Haven't met you before, so nice. I was born in Wales, actually. I am part of the home country. I was born in Bridgend, Wales, and left when I was 2, went back when I was 16, and then came back to Canada in my 20s. Seems like I'm talking like years ago, but I'm only like, in my early 20s now.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. You're looking fabulous, I have to say. You're looking extremely glam this evening, Paula.
I actually had to do some video recording for some of the training modules, so I got the on and the hair and the earrings and all that.
Love it.
Love clean up pretty look. Good.
Yeah, oh yeah, very good, very sexy, loving it. Do you want to jump straight in, Paula? We're talking about education and how it doesn't work, how it does work, what we can do, our experiences. Hilary has had decades of experiences in education, being a teacher, being a modulator, and empowering her students. Soma in educating herself, Anita in educating her children at homeschool, and me somewhere in the middle but feeling passionate about education. So please do jump in and share.
I just don't know what you've been chatting about. I want to make sure that whatever I add is with context or I'm not repeating. So maybe you can give me a quick briefing.
Yeah, we recognise that the education system, in essence, has not necessarily supported our young people, and it doesn't necessarily inspire and empower them. And so, you know, to recognise the gifts of our young people and to encourage them to be themselves and to hold space for them when they're learning, whether it be in homeschool environment, which Anita and her husband have provided for their children, or whether it be a really empowering teacher like Hilary has been. You know, Hilary was sharing about being really passionate about teaching and encourage and saw it as these games, bringing fun into it and games into it, and loved teaching about biology and, you know, really enjoying being part of the positive education system, but recognizing that the structure itself does not support learning in a healthy way. And I shared about, Soma shared about not going to high school, not going to, you know, her secondary education, because the Pleiadians had literally stopped her from entering the school with a wall, just saying, you know, don't go to the school, because if you go to the school and get sucked into the education system, in essence, you will be lost to us forever. And that was a message that she's recounted, and it's hugely powerful. My own experience was with my children going to first school, and my son really being treated badly in first school and not being supported and called a naughty child. And then in middle school, him being hugely empowered by this incredible head teacher who believed in him, and he had amazing teachers around him. So it wasn't necessarily within the education system, it's not necessarily the structure, it is the teachers. And the more teachers that can think outside the box and really, you know, teach children in a beautiful, creative, empowering, fun way, then obviously that's going to make the difference between how the children come out of school, whether they're feeling empowered or whether they're feeling, you know, really put down, sort of thing. Because the way we're judged at schools, and I was never a straight A student at all, I was super average at everything. So it was only really when I left school and my own resilience and determination that I found that there were things I was good at. But if I hadn't had that resilience, and if I hadn't had that determination, could have easily fallen by the wayside, got trodden on and you know, left out of society altogether. So it's really recognizing how important it is to, you know, serve our children and young people on a big basis. So really, what are your thoughts around education and homeschooling, and what positive or negative experience have you had or your children had?
I just want to jump in there very quickly, and also, Paula, if you could please talk about community, because I think this is so important, and Natasha brought it up earlier, where we really seriously now need to get back to communities and family and teaching.
The idea of it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes, exactly.
There you go. Love that. You read my mind,
so,
Paula. You read my mind.
Yeah. So thank you for handing me the baton.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes. Yeah. Loud and clear.
Yes.
Okay. Over to you.
So let's talk about the current system. Well, we all know it doesn't work. We all know that it does not teach critical thinking or problem solving. It basically is a system set up so that you learn how to do as you're told, but you're not too smart so that you won't want to go make the chicken nuggets, basically.
Love it.
Right? In essence.
So
that's a problem, number one. And number two, they've made the mark, the grade, so important that the joy of learning for the child has been stolen from them, right? It's more of a chore. They don't enjoy it anymore. My goodness. I've had a couple of clients that I've been working with just over the last week attending university in America. And do you love your course? No, I hate it. Why are you taking it? Why are you taking it? Pressure, family pressures or whatnot, or other reasons. But it's really hard for them to come up with, this is my passion. This is what makes my heart sing. I love doing this. So when I ask, does it make your heart sing? I actually don't know. I don't know what makes my heart sing. And that is like Wow, that's like a shocker. So they've made the grade important, more important than the journey of learning from the child. The other thing that they've done, and they might be bringing it back, so I'm not making this statement carte blanche, but basically what they have done is they've removed all of the creative courses out of it. The music, the literature, the art, the drama, where they can express and utilize that precious imagination. The reason why the imagination is so important is the way manifestation works or consciousness works. Consciousness creates form. It's not the other way around. And the existing world that we have today, the physical manifestation, what we are all here experiencing today, is a result of past thought. We've already thought this into being. It's been created. That's what manifestation is. So if we want a new experience, a new idea, a new innovation, a new something, we have to think a thought we've never thought before. So we really want, you know, close your mind, close your eyes, daydream, use your imagination, and then open your eyes and bring it into being with your actions. So the kids need their imagination stimulated. They need to have the magic of the wonder of the universe brought back into their experience so that they can play and learn in joy and in wonder. And then as an adult, we teach the children based on their skill sets and what they're really strong in, not say, oh no, you have to learn orally or through me standing up at the front of the room teaching them, right? We want to shape the lesson so it supports their strength, not how we think we should be teaching them. And then they can truly thrive because we all learn differently, right? Children are no different. And then from a teacher perspective, the burden that is being put upon teachers where they need to be a psychologist, they have to be a counselor, the policies that are being put in place by the education system just put so much burden on the teacher. They're stressed out now at the beginning of the classroom. The kids are told they have to sit still and be talked at for 8 hours. And I can tell you as an adult, I don't learn very well when I'm being just talked at, right? So I feel that you need to be in the farm, in the gardens, in the greenhouses, learning how life is supported and how life is sacred, right? They get to grow their little plant from a seed and they get to talk to it. So they learn about meditation from a very young age and they learn how they can control their emotions through self-regulation, right? All of these things, my goodness, would change our planet in a heartbeat. Could you imagine a 4-year-old, you know, saying, Mom, I gotta go meditate right now. I feel kind of off. I've heard parents say, I've heard parents say that child will come home and say, Mommy, I'm angry right now. I got to go sit with myself. And the mother's like, what? Child goes away, comes back, and she's a completely different person. She's like, I feel better now. Kids can learn to regulate their own emotions from a very young age. They're not going to have the problems that we do as adults or as teenagers. Young girls and young boys won't have the pressure of, you know, peer pressure, right? Or the drama and stuff. They'll have enough wherewithal and enough resilience and enough tools on board to be able to manage that stuff on their own. And that has a ripple effect as we teach in heart math, right? We have electromagnetic energy field around us. We're all communicating with each other. You know, when we stand, you know, if I'm sitting beside Soma, you know, we'd be trading our Pleiadian files, you know, be like, thank you, right? Here's my Syrian file or whatever. We trade information, but on a practical, physical, 3D earth level, the way children feel impacts the children in the room. This is called energetic coherence, or the energetics of communication. And the same thing with the teacher. If the teacher is stressed out, the kids are going to feel that. And it's not stressful. So I'll leave it there. That's my 2 cents.
Oh, love that. Thank you, Paula.
Wonderful.
Paula is in the room.
Yes.
So fun.
Love that.
And I, you know,
Thank you.
like I'm not in my 20s. Well, I said I was, you know, I could be 44 million years old for all I know, right? But I mean, I planet a little while, and I love learning. I mean, I'm taking a course now. I took one last month. I wish, honestly, I wish I could like get plugged into the Matrix, where it's like, oh, I know how to fly a helicopter, or I understand all of the crystals in the how they work, or I know sound healing. You know, can you imagine if you just plug in and I know how that works? I can fly a helicopter in that movie. That'd be kind of nice, but that would take away the journey of learning, because there is no race, right? It really is a journey. It's not about, I'm a sailor, I have a sailboat, so it's about the journey, not about the destination. But yeah, kids are, I mean, there are future leaders. Oh, and I think we've talked about this before. Shocker. So all this stuff that we have going on now with Black Lives Matter and all that stuff, all of this can be resolved with education. Policing can be resolved with education. All of our children are our future CEOs, our leaders, our inventors, our innovators, right? When we are teaching children, we're wanting to raise men, gentlemen, that can have an argument or a disagreement with another man. And like my mom's 80, and my dad, he's transitioned now, but I remember in the olden days, they'd say, we're having a gentleman's argument. And say, my dear fellow, I do not agree with you, and now let's go and have a beer, instead of, I don't agree with you and I'm going to go get a stick and hit you on the head. Yes. Right? Yeah. Adult, mature conversation. So when we're teaching our children, we are raising gentlemen. We are raising young women, young ladies, on how we want them to operate in the world, knowing that they're both empowered and strong enough and powerful enough to create whatever they need without causing harm to themselves or anybody else, right? But these are our leaders. And today, hello, ladies, the adults are charging and profiting from educating children. And I'm sorry, that is fundamentally flawed.
That's big business.
It should not be for profit. Neither should healthcare. Healthcare, well-being care should absolutely not be for profit. It's your birthright. I understand that there's innovations and inventions and stuff, but the goal, the idea of true collaborative, creative advancements in the work that we do is that we're creating this as a collective for the benefit of everybody, not so that my company can just make more money, because who cares about that? How do we all benefit from our creative talents and our abilities? That's what true creativity is about, is creating for the wonder and the beauty for all, and not just the one.
Love that. Collaboration, co-creating, kindness, compassion, unity, love, joy, peace, abundance for all. Love it. Yeah. Amen. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Paula. I think Natasha just said everything I wanted to say and couldn't find the words.
Well, we are Pleiadian sisters, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Sorry, Soma. Can I just say, listening, I agree with everything you say, Paula. There has to be such a shift in expectations for this to occur. It's what I think every parent would want for their child. But the expectations that we have, that people have, that not necessarily teachers, but those slightly higher up have, that they have expectations that just create such a narrow tunnel for their teaching to work in, that they are limited, they are shut down, they are made to feel small in their position as teachers. And the imagination from so many just, something happens, that their energy changes, and their passion, their love for the work they do is often so shut down. I've seen it in certain schools, not every school by any means. I've seen the best side of passion and imagination in many schools, but until in some of the inner city schools that we have, there is room for this shift, this complete shift in our expectations. If we should indeed have expectations, sometimes expectation-driven education isn't the right way. What the kids need, what these, I hate that word kids, I shouldn't be using it, what these young human beings need, what their existing gifts are, where they are as human beings at that moment in time is what I feel should drive education, drive learning. Not from it to come from above, landing like a load of cement, and in which we all get stuck and can't lift our feet out of. And that's the way I felt education going for a while. As I say, there's many schools with some very good practices going on, but there are so many that are really stuck with this expectation.
Here's the good news.
Sorry?
I was going to say, here's the good news.
Yeah.
Expect much more than a shift at the higher levels, because we have divine intervention taking place right now.
Yeah.
That is the shift that we need, a shift in consciousness.
Because
when we have that shift in consciousness, all of us that are in our positions all over the world, whatever everything that we've done up to this point in this lifetime and others, will be to truly collaborate and create that new education system that will indeed create the new earth. And what's wonderful about that is that's when we will have those knowings and all education and tools that are within our own internal universe will come to the forefront to create those new systems, because we are in the middle right now of witnessing the fall of the Roman Empire. In its now time frame, the 2020 vision, right? So we're seeing the financial system, we're seeing politics, the governments, we're seeing all of that collapsing, because every single one of these structures that have been created in our society, in our reality, are flawed. They're built on fear. They are not meant to support all of us. And I believe with every fiber of my being, it is your birthright, your absolute birthright, to have a home, a roof over your head, clothing, clean food and water, and an opportunity for education. That is your birthright. You do not have to earn that. You don't need to be a certain skin color or pray to a different God. That is the birthright for every single human being that shows up on this planet. And when we have that shift in consciousness, everything else will flow into place perfectly. The challenge with expectation, I would suggest, is kind of the same as shoulds. The idea of I should do this, I should do that. Expectation is the same, because those are claims made in history. The only reason why we would say I should be doing this is because something happened in a period of time before that kind of dictates it. What we're moving into is all beyond the known. It's not been seen, it's not been created before, and we certainly don't want to label it, because we know as soon as we name something, we label it, we put it in a small frame. So that's the good news. The absolute good news is whenever there is a system that is stuck, that there's outside intervention to help us recreate, and basically do a better job. It's kind of like we're looking back going, wow, we didn't do so good on that one, did we, girls? I think we can do a better. Let's do a redo. Yeah, exactly. Let's get this sorted out, because we can do far better. Yeah. Better for our kids and better for the teachers that, as I say, are certainly here in Canada, are being asked more and more and more to do more than just teach the kids And we've got a fail rate of 3 years. New students that are coming in, they finish their university education, they do their teacher's college, they're on the job for 3 years, and they want out. It's too stressful.
Yeah, good point. Sorry, I just had to get the dog in. She was crying outside.
Oh, bless her. So
yeah, you're right about these structures though, Paula. You know, the matrix machines, as I call them, they're all crumbling. They've been unsustainable. The education system, as you say, the health system, the financial system, the economic system, the governing system, goodness sake. Don't even get me started on that one. But, you know, and bringing us back to these communities and supporting each other, empowering each other, and recognizing that we are all different, and recognizing that we all have amazing, incredible skills. And just like it's not possible to make a cake with one ingredient, just think with all of our different skills and talents and expertise and wisdom and knowledge, what amazing things we can create together.
All working together as one, the way we were meant to be, the way, you know, it just, you know, it makes me so mad and so angry and so crazy because I can see what's going on, and I have done for so many years since 2009. I've really seen that all systems in place, the banks, the governments, the military, the police, the schools, all the systems on place are run by the cabal, or whatever you want to call them, and including the school systems, especially the school systems, to control and manipulate and keep us dumbed down. So it's just beautiful to watch it all unfolding and unraveling and crumbling down. Paula, would you like to share your dream where you were walking through, because I just love that. Your dream where the dream where you were walking through the road in the middle and everything behind you was crumbling down.
Oh yeah, that's not a dream. That's the picture my guides give. Okay. Yeah, so the image of our current reality is I'm walking down the middle of a city street, and it's like and I'm not like too much of a girly girl. You would say I could be a bit of a tomboy if I was a little girl. You know, I'm playing baseball with the boys and football, and because I used to find that girls could be a little bit catty and a bit more mean than the boys could. So they put me in this beautiful flowy gown, and that's the only reason why I mentioned that, because I don't really have a lot of flowy gowns, although maybe I will start doing that. But I'm walking in the middle of the city street, and I can see the structures, the buildings collapsing as I walk through the middle of the city street. So we just have to walk through this and trust that it's the world being remade. And our challenge is we can see it collapsing, but we yet can't see the new being born, right? It has to come down first before we can see the new. And so that vision is really just keep your eyes forward, eyes on the prize. It's going to collapse around you, which is cause for celebration. Because the more of this dark stuff we see come to the surface, it's like, oh goody, that's up for clearing, right? The darker the shit that we have to look at, oh my Lord, I never wanted to see that. But the more that is presented into our awareness, the closer we are getting to that shift. That is absolutely cause for celebration, for sure. Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
I got tons of dreams too.
Oh, you're so blessed. I don't remember any, or hardly remember any of my dreams. You know, I eat healthy, I drink healthy, I have maybe 1 coffee a day, I don't drink very often, and I go to go to bed, and I go, please let me remember my dreams. Thank you for letting me remember my dreams. Thank you for giving me beautiful visions and amazing, incredible dreams. And then I wake up in the morning and go, nah, I don't remember any of that.
Well, my guides will say that you will remember the dreams that you're supposed to. If they have meaning, you will remember them. So I don't remember my dreams every night, but I do remember all the important ones. Because I remember.
Yeah. I've had most of my dreams in the daytime, in awakened state, walking, sitting, staring at walls while other people are doing other things. I found my dreams. and could look
Right
at them.
on.
So I don't sleep so much at night. I haven't since I was a tiny baby. So I put my dreams in other places in the time of the day. Fine. But I've had the same, pretty much the same picture as you've had, Paula. I saw this many years ago of these things being spread out as they have been just recently. And even though it was a very big cover of darkness, that there were pockets of light that began to shine, and it just spread. Like I think we're here, we're doing our work, we know what's going to happen, and I think that is so exciting, because everything's going to look the same. You know, we're going to have the same things around us. The difference is, as I see it, is that there is no that we're happy. There isn't that controlling, saying stop, don't go there. And I think that's the main big difference as I see it, that we can thrive again, that we can love again, that we can look at each other in the eyes and say, wow, you did that great. Great difference.
That's what it's all about.
Go ahead.
Hilary, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, in case somebody else does their dreaming other than at night time, because I don't sleep well either, Anita, and many of my dreams, well, not exactly dreams, but a lot of time shifting goes on, backwards and forwards. It's exciting, it's revealing, it's I've gone back 400 or 500 years last week in what I guess was my family history to place I could take you to in England, in Shropshire, and to a community, a farming community. And when you were describing, really caught my heart, Natasha, when you were describing the Indian whole way of being, and the way they allowed the feminine wisdom to come through, and that was part of it. It was this, and the feminine wisdom was coming through medicine in this particular dream. It was
Wow.
just astonishing. I've got a white witch as a great grandmother. She's, I use the word is because she is, and she's present a lot of the time. But it's more than that. There's a sense of this, what has been will be again. And I've also sort of with great joy felt the structures crumble, and the physical structures representing the ephemeral structures just cascading down in future into the ocean, seeing them just fall into the water and being washed away, and the land being just left clean. And those are the sort of time shifty things that I just embrace and just look at with wonder, and just a kind of sense of, well, it's joy, but it's beyond joy, knowing that it is right now happening.
Yeah.
Interesting that you bring up native teachings. If I want to share, if it's okay. The last dream that I had was 2 weeks ago Monday, and it was in the morning, and so I could see in front of me, I'm going to say a native elder because there was a little person with them, so I'm calling the individual an elder. It was a native man, and I recognized him because I was walking towards him, and he goes like this, look to my left, and I look to my left, and there's a huge buffalo, and I drop to the floor because I'm like, oh my gosh, he's over top of me, I don't want him to trample me. I drop to the ground. As I wake up, the buffalo is sniffing my knee, checking me out, and that was my dream. So that was really cool. Where did we lose? Oh, well,
I'm
anyway.
here.
She's there.
Oh, you're still here. Okay, cool.
Mm.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So what do you guys make of that?
That's fantastic. You know, as Hilary was talking, and then as you were speaking, my whole body was going goosey. Like, in just starts from the head and just and then goes down my arms and my body and my legs, and that always happens when the truth comes in. You know, like wisdom truth, like something we need to pay attention to. So absolutely beautiful, love it. And what I was thinking of when you were both speaking was, we have to collectively share more of our visions and our dreams, because as we have seen, they are the same or similar, and we're in different planets. Well, maybe we are. You know, but we are all living in different places, and we have never had this conversation before, or any conversation with one another, which is so fabulous. Because, you know, the wisdom, I remember Dr. Wayne Dyer saying, when the morning breeze awakes you, do not go back to sleep. Because whether it's a vision in your waking hours, and the angels will catch you in the middle of the night, because that's the quietest time, and that's when you're likely to pay attention to what they're sharing with you, or whether it's, you know, that you're in tune with your visions, like so many of you are here, or you remember your dreams and the significance of them, and you make notes, like you, Paula, you're like 2 weeks ago on Monday, I'm like, wow. You know, that's really so cool, because I don't know what that buffalo is. What does everybody else think? I love that.
Well, I would just like to add, what I've been seeing recently is that the buffalo will, as we ascend, as we go through the process we're in now, the ascension, that everything is changing. Everything is changing. The earth is changing, and we are changing, and the buffalo will come back. That we are going to change to the point we evolve enough spiritually that we recognize we need to, the old way of being, especially with the Native Americans. I mean, the buffalo were I think hunted is the wrong word, but the extinction, you know, they're almost extinction. So, but also what the Pleiadians have told.
Well, actually, but on that note, though, there are a lot of the opposing forces that slaughtered a lot of their bison.
Yeah.
History, and that was done on purpose. So I think what we're talking about here is, as Hilary had mentioned, and you're mentioning, and all of you mentioned, was that the buffalo and the natives represent the absolute urgency for us to return to living in balance with the planet, so that we can step into the caretaker role that we really should be doing, the sacredness of the planet, and wow. Not any footprints, like, so that if we disappeared, nobody was here. It's left in its purest form.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'd really just like to add something there, that all the spiritual people, and I've been shown this many times by the Pleiadians, but all the spiritual people, the Native Americans, the Celtic, the Africans, the Aborigines, you know, there's so, I can't even list all of them, but there's so many spiritual peoples around the world, around the earth, that have been targeted and massacred and raped to the point of where their numbers have decreased, and that they were targeted because of their spirituality, because of their awareness, because of their connection to Mother Earth. So, and that is part of the battle of the battle dance, the war between light and dark. So I just wanted to add that there.
And you can even go all the way back to the Gnostic teachings, pre like 1000 BC, so well before Jesus showed up on the earth. The Gnostics, they knew how to work with the living organic light. And even way back then, they would remove people that had that ability. And it was likely through fear, or it could have been the structure on the planet did not allow for love. Love was not welcome here, or light. So to your point, we had the systematic, you know, the witching times, it escapes me right now.
The
I can't even
McCarthy's?
remember. Yeah, no, it's not that. I can't remember the heck it was, but it was basically the witching times, when they would on purpose report their neighbor if they saw the young lady singing in the woods or a little girl talking to fairies. They would make money on reporting them, and then do the testing to see if they're a witch, but they'd use a bodkin. So a bodkin was a blunt needle. Oh, well, if we don't poke her and it doesn't hurt her, she must be a witch. Well, it was a complete setup, but it was to eliminate the connection to the true living, the living light, and that living love. There was, for folks that are interested, there was a video YouTube dropped yesterday by Elizabeth April, and she's a Pleiadian sister as well, and she talks about some of the more pressing trafficking issues right now, but gets into why some folks have had their psychic abilities blocked. So it might be of interest for some folks that are listening to sort of check that out if that resonates with them.
Yeah,
just
thank you.
History on lineage. And, yeah.
It's so interesting that you mentioned that, Paula, because I rarely follow people and their work. I like to connect to people, but I rarely follow their work because I like to get stuff directly from the Pleiadians. But I saw a video by Elizabeth April, and I really resonated with what she was saying. She really articulates things in very well, to the point I haven't been able to. So I'd sent her a message to ask her to be on one of these discussions or shows, whatever you want to call them. So that's interesting. I think she's got lots of wisdom there, lots of knowledge.
Yeah, two people mentioned her name to me yesterday, so that's the first time I was introduced to her. Aware of, so those of you that are wanting to check it out, just a little heads up on that one. It might not be the most comfortable video that you watch, but if you're interested in truth and kind of understanding what's going on. Hilary, I think you wanted to say something.
I'd love to just say something about buffalo, and I was just so emotional then, because I'm an artist, and I'm actually, and I wish I could get it because it's not in the room, it's upstairs. I'm in the middle of a painting of a buffalo. Nothing happens ever by chance, of course. And I know that buffaloes are a sign of abundance and manifestation. And I also know, and I think it's an Indian tribe, maybe Lakota. They believe that the day that man struggled to survive, that the day that men stop having to struggle to survive, a white buffalo will be born.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of their belief system. But I'm just in the middle of this buffalo, and every time I take my oil paints to paint him, I'm in tears. It's so strange. So strange.
Maybe you're birthing him, Hilary. Maybe you need to get on with finishing the painting, and so you can welcome him.
I paint every moment I possibly can. It's just I just love painting. But yes, it was just a coincidence. Well, coincidence? No.
Winky dink.
Synchronicity.
I don't mind waiting for you to go get him if you want to share. I'm going
because my husband.
Not too far.
I've got a bit of a problem here, but no.
That's a shame. I was just going to say the same thing.
You said I've got a Facebook page. I'll put him on.
Lovely. Yeah. Thank you, Hilary. Thank you.
Page. Let me just do a bit more to him this week, and then I'll put him on the Facebook page. And,
yeah, that would be great. And yeah, I mean, I could just keep going forever. So over to you, Natasha, because I know we've been on for what?
Yeah, nearly a couple of hours, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I guess my question, Soma, maybe it's what other people are, what we're all thinking is, how do we move this forward? How do we, because I know that you've been doing some work as well, Soma, and I would love for you to share what you're in the middle of doing, your project. How do we move forward to support our young people, to provide the education, to start rolling out the education that is really going to serve and empower them? And how do we handle the challenge of working parents so that they are not thinking, well, I can't possibly do this with my child because I have to go to work and they're too young to leave on their own, and yada, yada, yada. And there's definitely a community element that will come into that. So what are our visions, our feelings, our thoughts, moving forward to start, you know, in practical terms, really rolling out this new education, ideas, sowing seeds and reaching out to people to come on board, so that in little pockets of the areas we live, I mean, I'm in the Midlands, Hilary, you're up north by Manchester, and Anita, obviously you're in Italy at the moment, and Soma, you're down south, and of course gorgeous Paula is in beautiful Canada.
Well, there's so much there. I think we need to come away from the childcare system. I think we need to homeschool. I think we need to come back to small communities. I think we need to, if we do need a babysitter, I think we need to come away from childcare and babysitting, you know, people that we don't know from Adam. And what, you know, I had quite a traumatic childhood, and a lot of sexual abuse and rape and all of that. So we need to be careful who we're trusting our children to, you know. So, I mean, there's many, you know, in our communities, there's many elderly people that are lonely and bored and fed up and depressed. They would love to look after kids. So, and I'm not for a minute suggesting to approach any strangers, but we need to be getting to know our communities, to know our neighbours, who we're living next door to, who's down the road. So really coming back to basics, and so coming away from childcare, coming away from schools, homeschooling, coming away from all systems, not just the school system, and changing, and to stop focusing on what's wrong with the world. What's wrong with it, you know. Stop focusing on what's wrong with it and just look the other way, look in a new direction, walk in a new path, and create those as we go. All of us here today, all 5 of us, there is stuff that we are doing. There is stuff that there's more that we could be doing. I know for myself, I know there's more I could be doing, and I'm looking, and that's the direction I'm wanting to go. But it's gonna take us. It's gonna take me time to get there. It's gonna take us all time to get there. We can't do it in an instant because we're in a 3D reality at the moment. So, and although that is changing, it's a path that we're going down. I believe it's a positive path that we're going down, where all the structures are falling away. And like Paula was saying with her vision, you know, I keep seeing that now in my mind's eye whenever I'm talking about this or thinking about it, where all the old systems are just falling away, and we need to create new systems, not even out of the old rubble. Because we need to leave that and just walk away from it, but we need to create new systems. We need to step into our hearts, and things like masks and vaccines and school systems and all the negative stuff that's out there in the world that isn't even part of, it's not even part of my reality, because I'm not allowing it. I'm not allowing it into my reality. And often people say to me, or have said to me, what about the kids in Africa? Or what about, I mean, that's a very good example. And I've always been, not always, but the last 10 years or so, 20 years, I've been of the opinion, well, that's not my reality. A child in Africa, I mean, I've had horrendous stuff happen to me, but it's not my reality today, because I don't hold that energy in my field, in my thinking. So, and there's 7+ something billion people on the planet, and we all have different realities. There's no one reality that's the same, because we all have different experiences. We all have different dreams, aspirations, hopes. We all have different realities. So, yeah.
We have to remember, though, that we are in a collective, right? We're in a collective. You're right. We absolutely create all of our own realities. So from a practical perspective, what people can do is you dream into, I imagine a school system that's like this. And we daydream that in our own minds, and that will eventually manifest into the bigger system, right? So we can do that. What people can do now, practically, is learn something like this. This is an excellent book by Daniel on emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And parents can teach their children that now, so that not only do the adults have more tools and techniques to help them manage stress, challenge, and change, but so the kids can too. Because they've done studies that your intelligence, your IQ, so far in life, because I've met people that are brilliant, absolutely brilliant, but they're socially inept. They have no skills socially on how to communicate with people, you know? So we can teach emotional intelligence and resilience. That's huge, especially during this time on the planet when everything is uncertain. We are in a shift, the greatest shift we've ever known. And the other thing to remember is that when one of us suffers, we all do. We are our brother's keeper. So if we view the world as if one suffers, we suffer. Because to your point, right? Yeah, there might be a child in Africa that is not in our immediate reality, but we want to be cognizant that that individual is getting support and love and opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you on that point, Paula. Yeah, we are, there is only you, and therefore we are all aspects, dimensions, and parts of the same. So when you shout an abusive phrase at somebody else, you're hurting yourself as well as them. There's no escaping it. You know, you've only got to look at the work of Dr. Emoto with water crystals, and bearing in mind we're 70 to 80% water. So if you say, I hate you, you're actually saying that to your own body, your own being, as well as the other person. So it's a lose-lose situation. So we've got to turn all that on its head, move from all the negative emotions, connotations, and expressions to all of the positive ones, like love, joy, peace, abundance, caring, kindness, compassion, collaboration, sharing, supporting. You know, these are the things that we need to be focusing on, and these are the structures that we need to create a new world using those things, and forgiveness and acceptance and awareness and being present and being still in the moment, connecting with nature and animals and each other, because we are inextricably linked and connected anyway. You know, we've been so arrogant all these millions of, well, thousands of years, you know, thinking that we can rape and pillage the earth, but actually, you know, the world can survive and thrive quite happily without human beings on it, but human beings cannot survive and thrive without Mother Earth. So we need our planet, we need our earth, we need our trees that give us oxygen, we give them carbon dioxide. You know, we've only got to look at nature and animals to see that there is a perfect synchronicity, symbiosis and coexistence that we have to move towards. So yeah, definitely loving that. And it will be a gradual process for sure. And I was listening to something today.
I actually believe that it will be in a heartbeat.
You think so? Wow.
I believe that this shift, I do. Wow. I believe that it's going to be a moment that we all experience at the same time, and it'll be a realization where, oh my God, we are one. You are indeed my sister.
Oh yeah.
That you were indeed was my sister, I would never make a product that would rip you off. And knowing that I'm part of the planet, I would never make a product that would pollute her or would dilute her or diminish her in any way. Because this is where we live, right? Like the point about the body, why would we not take care of the physical vessel? Because this is where we live. This is our home. So if you have toxic parasitic thoughts, you're polluting your own little world with that 70 to 80% of water that we are. So you're either shouting into the universe, right, and creating a toxic environment, or you're singing the joy of life and the wonder to create.
Yeah, beautiful world that we're creating, right? Yeah, lovely, beautiful. Thank you. Any last thoughts, Anita, Hilary, Soma?
I've got a few thoughts, but I'll probably share them with you out of Facebook, just out of live, just at the moment.
Okay,
We've got
absolutely.
something in the middle of certain moments. So, yeah.
Can't hear you,
Okay.
Soma. Can't hear you.
Sorry?
Is Soma gone mute again? Soma gone mute again?
Yeah.
Soma, unmute yourself, darling. Are you there? Anita?
I think
Anita, my lovely, is she still with us? Oh, Anita's had to
We
go.
need to drop.
Okay.
There's only 4 participants.
Yeah, Anita's dropped. Anita's dropped. Okay, we've lost Anita. Oh, bless Anita. Yeah, I think we need to reach out to Anita offline as well. See ways we can help and support her. Paula, you missed. I'll brief you privately.
Okay.
I think that would be a good thing to do. Soma, I don't know if you can hear us, my darling girl. I know you've sort of come in and out. Are you still there?
Can you hear me now?
Yay!
Yes. Yeah, Anita, I don't know what's going on with this today. It's kind of in and out. And I haven't been muting it, but
it's the energies. It's just the energies. Our energy is more powerful for the system.
Yeah. And yeah, Anita just sent me a message on Facebook saying she had to go and make a call to her children.
Oh, beautiful. She does speak with them.
Well, that's good.
It is.
Perfect.
Yeah, we need to. You were going to. We need to follow that up, don't we?
Yeah, offline, definitely, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, that would be beautiful.
One thing I do want to mention is Rudolf Steiner schools. Now, I don't have children, but I've heard Rudolf Steiner schools are very good.
They are. I think it sound's gone again.
Oh, is it?
Oh, it's back. Yeah. Yes, Rudolf Steiner, the whole belief system behind the Rudolf Steiner schools is very whole person, whole being, very holistic, very whole being orientated. As I could say a lot about it, but perhaps here tonight well,
maybe we could do that next time.
Yes, absolutely. It's a fascinating way it came into being. It's such a shame there aren't more of them now that are around for people to just embrace.
Well, maybe, I mean, it's, we need to stop giving away our power.
Oh, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
waiting for someone to come and save us, because yes, we do have a help and assistance, but we need to be the ones initiating these new systems.
Absolutely do.
So Rudolf Steiner schools, homeschooling, local communities, growing our own fruit and vegetables, having clean water that's safe, that's not toxins and so so we need to start taking action and putting things into place and stop waiting for someone to come and save us, because they don't have our best interests at heart. They're not here to heal us with medicines or like all of the systems, so maybe we could just go around and the table and say what if we've got any final thoughts for today.
Just embracing the new 100%, staying in our own hearts, supporting each other, reaching out to each other. And like you said, Soma, there is nobody going to save us. We are here to save ourselves, and in doing so, humanity. So each and every one of us is responsible for playing our part and doing our thing to help moving forward 100%, leading by example, talking about this, inviting people to be part of our communities, growing vegetables and herbs, which we do. I'm actually moving house soon. So I'm hoping that I have a nice big garden where I can do the same. So that I know there'll be a big shift when I move as well, for all the right reasons. So that is a really positive thing. So yeah, I'm just going to visualize a beautiful old rambling farmhouse with lots of land and lots of space, and that will be in the middle of nowhere. That will be perfect, surrounded by trees. That would be my perfect setup. And then we can help and support one another and reach out to other people, because people who work from home could also be able to help support the children and the youngsters of grown-ups who and adults and parents who perhaps have to go out to work as well. So I think having all these things in mind, keeping sharing our visions, keeping sharing our dreams. We're waiting for the buffalo pictures at any time. Hilary, please bring your buffalo to the program. And so just continue to have these conversations, and maybe in a couple of weeks have another follow-on. And I've just written down Rudolf Steiner, so I'm going to get my own research on that and find out about that, because I think that's a really important, to get all the golden gems and the little golden nuggets about what really works, and also what our young people are saying, because they are CEOs of our future. They are the leaders, and they are already being born upgraded, up leveled with a different DNA to us. So we're already learning from them. It's really important that we empower them as quickly as possible and help them step into who they are, because they are already amazing. So yeah, that's really what I would like to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. I mean, Natasha, sorry. I was looking at the list there.
I've just been absolutely blown away by, for the first time, sitting with a group of empowered women, just contemplating how it is and how it could be. Because I'm working at the moment with carers of all ages, from 25, 30 upwards. And I'm in the middle of creating with other people a toolbox for different times. This is what we're doing. And toolbox is just literally little ways of being, bringing consciousness to the way people are. It's intriguing what's going on at the moment. So I'm playing with that. That's part of this too. And that so many older people of my age and above are so lonely, and this has come out immensely over the last 4 or 5 months. And I'm in touch with people locally we're going to set up something locally to try to draw people out of their homes. There's so much agoraphobia now being apparently discovered in people. They're not even prepared to put their feet outside the door, and yet they've so much to offer, so much to give, and the communities have got so much to share with them too. And it's just literally getting people together, even small numbers to start with, and just watching it grow. And that's
beautiful.
Healing.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. And Hilary, if there's anybody that who would benefit from this video and these shares, then please, do share widely. And any of our work, because we are empowered women. We've had to get there and do the work to get there. And our job is to empower others. And to encourage others, and to hold hands around the world, literally, with one another, and say, come on, standing side by side, shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand, what can we create together?
I can immediately think of 3 parents who are now homeschooling, who would have loved to will love to hear this conversation.
Beautiful. And maybe they can share their experience You know, maybe we could do another one in a couple of weeks' time. Soma, what do you think? And you know, invite some of these parents to share, you know, from the UK, actually as it's happening now, because that would be very encouraging for everybody else, steps that it's taken to get there and that kind of thing. And you know, it's like the ripple effect, isn't it? This is the way we share. So we're using social media to help educate, serve, inspire.
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea, Natasha. Really to reach the parents, you know, who are struggling with even the thoughts of, oh my God, I can't homeschool my kids because what is my mum going to say, or my neighbour, or my friend, or whoever it is, you know. So yeah, and there's a whole load of other stuff there as well that you were mentioning. So yeah, that would be fantastic. That would be really great. And if
lots of seeds planted. Lots of seeds planted.
Beautiful. Lots of oak trees coming our way.
Yay. And Paula, is there anything you want to say? Final thoughts?
It would really only understand that those precious children, when we need to talk to them, be wary of a big pointy person, you know, big pointy finger when they're looking up at you. The influence that we have and the way that we communicate with our children, the way we communicate with each other, has lasting effects. So we need to be cognizant of that. Be very careful in how you choose your words when you confer intelligence. You know, the education is there indeed. The system is there. However, I believe the best education that you will give yourself is the one that you indeed give yourself. Your own self-education. You know, the system will give you so much, but what you choose to take on board on.
There's a softening in that, isn't there? I feel, Paula.
Yeah, and I think that there is something I'd like to share, just as a few last words for today in this discussion, is that I really had a horrendous time with the school system. From very early on, I didn't fit into my first primary school, and I was hugely bullied and just targeted by the teachers and the kids. And eventually my mum pulled me out of that school and put me into another primary school, which was further away. It was about half an hour on the bus. But it was the very opposite. It was a really good, it was a beautiful school. It was lovely. The teachers were so kind. So I was grateful to have that experience, because that taught me a lot. That you know, there's good teachers and bad teachers. But some of the teachers I had to begin with in my first primary school in the UK were just horrible people. I mean, really horrible people. And they all seemed to just care about the paycheck, and they didn't actually care about the kids. And it was quite a poverty, it was like the Bronx, actually. It was a poverty-stricken area. So, yeah. So, yeah, I wanted to leave on a positive note, but I think if there's anything positive I could take from that, it would be that
we've lost your volume again. We've lost your volume again. I don't know. Universe. Interesting. It's very interesting, isn't it, what's going on? I'm just going to lost volume. Oh, bless her.
None of us would be here now, would we, without all the experiences that we've had?
Exactly.
What a blessing that we are here, whatever's going on. What a wonderful blessing that we are here together to share.
Yep, indeed.
Can
Absolutely.
You hear me now?
Yay! So
yes. I've had real problems with it, Stad. It should be working in it. I just need to keep plugging it in. But yeah, so I very much look forward to a lot more of these, and I might even ask the lady that Paula was talking about Elizabeth April.
Elizabeth April, yeah, reach out to her. That would be fascinating, wouldn't it? I'm going to also look her up and listen to her work and see what resonates. Absolutely, definitely. Yeah, so maybe in a couple of weeks' time, is this kind of sorry, I've got really sore eyes. Is a couple of weeks' time good for everybody?
Are you okay?
Yeah, no, it's just I get sore eyes in the evening. Interestingly, over the last few months, I get sore eyes in the evening, but I never used to my whole life. So it's clearly something to do with what's going on, but it's all good. It's all interesting, isn't it, as we observe what's going on around us. So yeah, definitely. And thank you so much for hosting once again and bringing us all together. Really appreciate that. And let's all share this on our own pages and into the collective in different groups, because education, isn't just something we do at school. It's something that happens usually after we leave school, and then we can start educating ourselves and really opening our eyes. Things like philosophy, psychology, mindfulness, consciousness,
Meditation.
Meditation, yoga, walking in somebody else's shoes and seeing what their world looks like is a beautiful thing to do. I traveling around the world, listening to different people sharing, and really embracing different cultures is something that really is so enriching of life. And the people who do the most traveling and speak to the most different types of people around the world are the most humble, the most knowledgeable, the most wise, and the most beautiful souls, certainly, that I found in my experiences.
Yeah, because they walk in different shoes. They get to see how other people live, and yeah. I wanted to. That was beautiful, Natasha. Thank you, and thank you so much to everyone, and Hilary and everyone watching. But please, will you send me your links and your websites and your Facebook pages and your bios so that I can put everything on the description?
Perfect.
And please, Hilary, do send us that picture of the buffalo.
I will do. What's the Facebook? What's the Facebook page? I don't know what the Facebook.
Soma, you've gone again.
Have I?
Your Facebook page.
Oh, I will.
Can you message it me?
I'll message it to you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And can I just add? You're talking about travel, Natasha.
Mm-hmm.
I met a beautiful Grenadian, West Indian Grenadian, and the first time I ever travelled abroad was to Grenada, and I was probably 45 then when I travelled. And he just looked at me one day as I was busying, because I'd landed, I'd been teaching, I'd come in, wanted a holiday. I was busy. I felt it in my mind, in my head, in my body. And he looked at me, took my hands, held them in his, and he says, "My lady," he says, "walk, don't run." And that's been something that I've had with me all my life. Walk, don't run.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And it just makes me just take a deep breath, a deep pause.
Lovely.
Wisdom of cultures, other cultures, the wisdom of travel.
Indeed. Thank you for sharing that.
That's quite profound, isn't it?
It's it's something, it is, it feels, it's always felt, it touches my heart, I can feel it right through the whole of my body. Especially my heart. And there are many times in a day I'll find myself saying, "Walk, don't run."
I often get caught up in running because for about 2 years I had a very bad back and I was bedridden and in a huge amount of pain and I couldn't walk, so I was really bedridden for about a year. And ever since then, because I wasn't able to do anything, I couldn't stand up, I couldn't pee, I couldn't bath, I couldn't eat, I couldn't cook, because my body couldn't support itself. So since that time of doing absolutely nothing, I've been running and trying to do as much as I can and cram everything in, you know. So I tend to overdo it to the point I just exhaust myself, you know, really exhaust myself. So that really means a lot, Hilary. And I'm sure it will mean a lot to a lot of people as well. Walk, don't run.
And Soma, you know, you can still run, but you can still, within you, walk.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And it's been lovely to connect with you. I've really appreciated you asking me. It's been lovely to listen to you both.
We're all special, amazing, divine, sovereign beings, children of the universe.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are all one.
Indeed.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. To all of you, to everyone that was here today, you know, I'm really feeling, you know, I think I said this to Natasha before, when it's really like the people in the room, you can really feel the energy and the love energy and the light and just the love frequency, the love energy, the love vibration. And it's just beautiful because especially these times where we're in lockdown, and to still have that connection with people is so important, and to be able to feel it through the airwaves, through the internet. You know, it is like we're in the same room. It really is. And I'm still getting used to that.
Yeah, well, you know what? Energy flows anywhere. And when the energy is love, anywhere on the planet, you know, I can send love to you. If you had a Pauline, I could send love to you and your knee would start to feel better. I mean, I love that. That's just fantastic. These are the kind of things that we need to teach in schools, like Hogwarts. You know, we need to have like a magical school, you know, a consciousness school, you know, all of these beautiful gifts, how we can help and support each other and, you know, really sort of, what's the word? Celebrate each other's amazingness and celebrate our own amazingness.
Yeah. I'll share a few things with you when we're not recording another time.
Oh yeah, please do. Lovely.
I've been using since it was invented, so it's there's things I'd love to share with you.
Thank you, Hilary. I'd love that. Maybe tomorrow, if you've got time, let me know. Ping me when you're free, and then that would be really beautiful to connect. Thank you. I love that very much.
I'll connect with you too, Soma.
Yeah, that'd be great. I might, because I don't know if we're friends on Facebook or not, but
no, because I've never met you till this evening, and it's been beautiful to meet with you. So enjoyed it. So enjoyed it.
But I was just going to ask Natasha, would you be able to send me Hilary Knowles' Facebook page, or maybe I'll just.
Yes. Did I not share it? I will, of course. Yeah, of course. I'll send the profile to you again if I haven't already done it. So I thought I had, but I'll do it again.
You won't find too much on my Facebook page. There's reasons for that, but
she's very cryptic.
No, I post what I feel. I don't post. I post from the space rather than just on a.
Beautiful.
I've got different Facebook pages too, Rich. And
I'll send you the one.
And I'll send
you. Yeah, and you can reach out.
Yeah, I'll send you my website too.
Wonderful. Oh, lady, so beautiful. Thank you so much for your space, your wisdoms, your sharing, your knowledge, your love, holding space.
Great.
And yeah, amazing. I love it. Thank you. And Soma, thank you once again for hosting. And let's reconvene in 2 weeks' time and see what other beautiful ladies that we can bring in, Hilary. Wow. You know, do speak with them and see if they would.
Two of them I know would love to, if it is possible for them, I know they would love to be.
Yeah, we'll share this video with them and then we can obviously invite them in. So yeah. So thank you, everybody. Beautiful to see you all. We will all connect individually as and when, and keep sharing with one another. Have a beautiful rest of the evening and a beautiful day tomorrow. It's going to be sunny, Hilary. You'll be able to go outside doing your gardening.
Oh, can't wait. Herb full. I've got vegetables to pick.
Oh, gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful.
Anyway, thank you so much.
Lovely to see you, Hilary. Blessings. Paula, gorgeous to see you again. Soma, you amazing, amazing goddess. Thank you for bringing us together. Bye for now.